Good evening and welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting on Monday, November 27, 2023. We'll open the meeting at 6:01. Could I get a roll call, please, Beth?
Select Chair, Mr. Coy.
Here?
Select Vice Chair, Mr. DeRoche. Here. Selectman, Mr. Britton.
Here.
Selectman, Mr. Gifford.
Here.
Selectwoman, Ms. Bergeron.
Excused.
And note for the record, we have Town Manager, Mr. Colby, with us.
All right, can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right. Public comment. You just make sure Beth has the name and address.
Sure. Jason Dumas, 6 Pineview.
Okay.
Now the floor is yours.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your time. A couple things I wanted to talk about was the prime wetland study legal notice that went out. As you know, each of you received an email from me back in November regarding the legal requirements for the required meeting. Last meeting, it was discussed that it was a technical error or technical difficulties for that. I don't think that's factual, and I think that, honestly, I'm kind of disappointed that the board is kind of pushing that assumption out to the public. The other thing is the meeting was pushed, obviously, after being notified of the legal requirements of not publishing the study that was on the wetlands within the time requirement. Mr. Copeland replied saying that it was received on October 16th, which was past the deadline that the town was required to post that information to the website. That wasn't posted until November 6th, 3 days prior to the meeting. I'm just kind of, bring it to your attention. The continuation of the meeting hasn't been publicized. It's not on the website. It hasn't been really a public notice. I think all of you appreciate the public and citizens being informed, and I don't think that it's being broadcasted in a way that would inform citizens. That's right around the corner, and I don't think that there's enough time to really get that out to the public to make sure that they're informed. My other comment is in regards to Mr. Colby's discussion last meeting regarding the Atkinson and the agreement for a public dispatch. I think that you quoted that it was between $40,000 and $45,000 for a 5-year or per year 5-year contract, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But that number kind of shocked me as far as a budget. When it comes down to it, I don't think that a lot of people understand that class out dispatch is all but 40 hours for Atkinson for both police and fire. So if we crunch the numbers at 40 grand, that's a little bit more than 16 cents an hour. I think they're kind of getting a free ride. I don't think that we're going to make a ton of money off of them, but I think that they need to be paying their fair share. It's a multi-million-dollar infrastructure that needs to be updated, and I don't think that 40 grand is really going to cover what we're really offering them. So that's my public comment.
All right. Thank you.
What I may have misunderstood, but the old contract tops out around $45,000, and we are in negotiations with a new contract. I didn't mean to say that we were doing it for $45,000 a year, but that's where the last one has ended up this year.
Sure. Just from working and for the town, like my understanding of the contract was they were paying for at least one salaried position at the dispatch. But now that they're bringing people on at $27 top out range, that doesn't even cover the 40 hours, never mind the roll up costs of benefits and such.
No, understood. Taking that into account, that's for sure. But thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
My name is George Barnes. I'm a town resident. I live on 19 North Avenue. I just left the police station, and I just found out that we only have 2 officers on duty. I'd like to know why. Number one, we only have 2 officers on duty when we used to have 5 or 7. I've been in 3 accidents in my driveway in the last year, pulling out on North Ave. The speeders are ridiculous. I've been to the police station 4 times. I'm on record there. I talked to Bob there. He told me there's only 2 officers on duty today. Okay? We've had 4 dogs in my neighborhood that's been killed by speeders. Okay? I have one that got out after I spent $1,200 on it to get it fixed and neutered for my kid. And it got out of the house as we were bringing my boy in, and it got hit by a car, by a speeder. It never even stopped. Okay? I can bring my whole neighborhood here. Okay? The police told me, what can we do? They can't do anything at all. Okay? There's only 2 officers. One's making a report, the other one's at Walmart arresting somebody for shoplifting. There's no one to watch the road. I gave him permission numerous times to park in my driveway. Nothing at all. We get a sign that says 30 miles an hour. I personally put up a sign that says bus stop for my boy, and I put up a radar sign, check by radar, to try to slow people down. Doesn't work. Okay? All my neighbors are complaining. So I just want to know, where do I go from here? Or where do we go from here? They don't want no vigilantes, but something's going to happen. I mean, someone's going to get hurt seriously. The speeders are out of control, and you only have 2 officers on duty.
Not that this makes any difference, what side of the road do you on as you're going out towards Haverhill or
I'm on
as
the
you come
road
in
that
towards
leads
Plastow?
to Massachusetts.
Okay.
And that's where they're speeding. And I've told him what the hours, and he says, we can't do nothing because they're somewhere else. Okay? And I can hear them open up the cars to cut through to Massachusetts. I can hear the carburetors open up wide, going down the street, 80 miles an hour. There's been a couple bad crashes there over the years, but it doesn't do anything. Like I said, personally, I've been in 3 accidents in the last year in my own driveway pulling out on the road. I can't back in, I can't pull in. If I pull in, they won't let me out, okay? Backing in my truck, I blew a tire, my rear tire, right after I got it. Then today, I jackknifed my trailer, all right, because of the cars coming at me, they wouldn't stop, and I wrecked my tail light. That's right there, there's 2, okay? Then I was backing out over the summer, and car was coming from New Hampshire going into Massachusetts. It went around me as I was backing up and hit the back end of my truck. And the cops didn't do nothing. The guy had no license and no registration. How did they get away with it? He couldn't even speak English. I have no idea what happened. All right? It's totally out of control. My neighbor has come over numerous times to stop fights in the streets because I'm trying to get in. True story. And like I said, I'll bring the whole street here next month to be here, but we got to have something done. So, and I just found out today that there was a meeting tonight. That's why I came.
Yeah, I know it's always been an ongoing.
I mean, I will pass along your concerns, obviously, to the chief. I mean, we do have 5 vacancies over in the police department,
We
and
only have 2 officers working.
because we have 5
5
vacancies,
vacancies.
there would normally be more on right now if we had those positions full.
Why do we have the vacancies?
For various reasons, people have left, they've retired, they've moved out of state.
I know one officer's been there for 17, 18 years. That's what I talked to him. He said he remembers 5 or 7 officers on that. I thought there was at least 5 on because I see them on details all the time. But he says, you know, when they got a SWAT call last week, they had to call in Danville and stuff. It's kind of ridiculous. 2 officers can't do anything.
Yeah, and that's why we're,
Especially if there's a crash somewhere, we both know both vehicles are gonna go to it to try to help. It leaves the town naked, really.
Yeah.
Anything could happen anywhere. We've been lucky.
and they are working to try to fill those vacancies, because that will definitely go a long way. But I think it's probably worth, you know, talking to the chief, see what we can do out there. Whether it's, you know, probably set up speed traps to slow them down.
We've tried that. 4 officers I've talked to since the summer. I'm retired. I haven't seen a 1 there. They don't have the time. Even the officer said to me, what can you do? What can we do? Put in a speed bump? There's nothing they can do. They have their hands tied.
Yeah, because that's a state road there, right?
I'm not sure.
Yes, it is. It's a state road.
Greg, can maybe the police chief reach out to the Haverhill chief and maybe they can try and coordinate something on either end, if they're patrolling or setting up a speed trap on our side, maybe they can put someone
Usually,
on their side.
90% of the time, they're coming from Haverhill going into Mass. I mean, coming from Plastow going into Mass.
Yeah, because once you take-
90% of the time.
Because once you take that turn, it's pretty much a straight road for a while, so you can
Exactly.
go.
Exactly.
But maybe there's something there we can maybe try to work with our neighbor next door to see if there's a relationship we can utilize.
Okay, I just wanted to say it. Hopefully, we get some kind of conclusion.
It's
before
worth
next month.
talking to the chief.
Yeah, I'll
Let's see what we
send
can
him a
do.
message and talk to him tomorrow, but
Because I know that's a well-traveled road too.
let him know of your
It's a cut
concerns.
through. Ever since they put Walmart and Home Depot, and I've been there for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And I've just seen the traffic more and more and more.
Right.
So, thank you all for your time. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. We'll get right in. We'll look at tonight the warrant articles. We'll start taking a first pass, kind of going over them. Get the thoughts. Warrant article, we usually tend to look at them a couple times. They're never, so obviously these are incomplete.
So this is basically like one of the the list of the repeating types of warrant articles that we have,
Yeah.
probably from last year.
A lot of them because of the CIP items.
What Beth and I did this morning was to take last year's and, remove the ones that we knew were not applicable, like the readoption of the veterans exemption, things of that nature, but also added those and changed, the ones that we knew, needed to be in, going into next year. Obviously, it doesn't have any zoning changes. If there are going to be any, it doesn't have those at this point. But it's at least a rough idea of what we're looking at, for potential warrant articles. As you know, CIP, we met, was 10 days ago or so. So, as that process continues along, we'll, update this as necessary.
When do we anticipate, we think we'll see numbers to be put in different ones, like the,
Next meeting of
budget and stuff?
CIP is December 14th, I believe.
okay. And for the operating budget and vault and all that, when do we,
Usually once we finalize the operating budget, I will start working on the default.
all right. So obviously the water department, that's something we had last year and that's pretty much self-funding, that one, right?
Right.
Then,
Right, we have the operating budget for the general fund, operating budget for the water department, where we're in negotiations with the police union. We'll have the two warrant articles. And then basically it's the contingency fund and then the funding of, the CIP.
which is the same, every year we have another police vehicle for that capital reserve, highway, building fee
Buildings.
expendable trust. The library started a capital reserve to pay for things. We anticipate the dollar amount staying about the same, going up?
I'm not sure. I
A
mean,
lot of it's based on some of the stuff is based on the CIP and what the recommendation is from the
Right.
CIP. It's up to us whether we either want to put the article forward or if we want to change the amount. Do we take the recommendation or, maybe it's a tight year and, maybe we don't want to put it on or maybe we want to put it on, but lesser amount or the same amount. It's really up to us. But, looking at some of these, like I know contingency, we've had to use that multiple times this year and it does get used.
Every year it gets used.
Right, every year we're utilizing that. So that one, I would say, keep on there, but I know there's one on here for the, where is it? Transportation Infrastructure Capital Reserve. I know that money was supposed to be used for the
Traffic calming?
traffic calming study, right? We were supposed to put money away each year towards a
Right.
match. You know, is that something we want to pull off this year? Or continue to add to it, even though we're not required to do a match anymore? Maybe we could utilize it for those funds at a later date for something else, like sidewalks or whatever.
Correct.
Okay. But, you know, maybe that's something we think about pulling off this year. I know the cemetery, we're like on like pretty much the last phase of that expansion, right?
Actually, that should be able to get completed, right?
Well, and that's, one of the things that I drove over there this afternoon, and I know it's pretty wide open over there. I think there's an opportunity, if you will. There is some additional work that needs to be done. We were going to work with the surveyor to basically have points put in the cemetery lasered so that when burials are performed, we know exactly where the lots are, to a T, so to speak. But also being over there and as wide open as it is, there's an opportunity, I think, for, we should consider fencing, on the backside along Stephen C. Savage Way. It's wide open. Not sure, planting of trees, things of that nature. We can get conservation involved, but I didn't know if there was, a group that maybe we could form a small committee, if you will, to talk and see what we may want to do with that cemetery, because it's an important part of the history of the town, and to leave it wide open on the backside, I don't know that we really want to do that. So what might people want to see? What could we accomplish there, from the rear entrance now that we have?
And that's gonna see more traffic back there now too.
It will see more traffic as well.
Right, because there's going to be a neighborhood behind.
Yeah, there's a neighborhood development back there. Just as when I drove out there, it just, it's these things kind of dawned on me that even though it's done, it's graded, it's ready to be seeded, I think there should be consideration for a little bit more work back
Yeah,
there.
maybe, if nothing else, maybe just, hues or hedges going all the way around it that will grow to a substantial height and sort of isolate it.
Yeah, because those do get, the roots and everything
Yeah.
they get pretty big. Yeah, I don't know what
But yeah, I just throw it out there for consideration after, being up there. I don't know if any of you have had an opportunity, but it looks a lot different than
yeah.
than
It
did
looks
even
very
a month
cleaned
ago.
up. It actually looks well.
And I know so everything's pretty much what we used to seeing. The only additional thing is this historical society. We talked about that one.
Right. After the meeting where the board had approved that money, we got to thinking and the like, and historically, when the town has included support for outside nonprofit organizations that have been mostly in the health agency area, usually what happens is it goes on as a warrant article in the first year of consideration and then becomes part of the operating budget. So I've had Beth put in the wording for a warrant article to do just that, to remove it, from the operating budget, to put it on there for the voters to decide.
Right. And that's roughly, what was it, about 8,300, somewhere around there?
$8,300 or $8,036, or somewhere around, a little over $8,000.
In that area. Oh, yeah, what the voters decide. Any questions on any of the other warrant articles? Obviously, the fire department's there, highway, police for cruises. you anticipating to see any other departments come forward with warrant articles or anything?
No.
So we're really looking at the CIP things plus the historical. That's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yes.
Everyone good on the warrant articles for now? And obviously we'll be talking about this the next meeting is, well, not the next one, the 18th, right?
The 18th, yes.
And hopefully then we'll have dollars.
Well, it's tough to approve anything without the dollars.
No, right. Well, not that, but we want to do just to make sure you're not going to see it for the first time on the
Right.
18th.
Well, I guess, we can decide what we want to put on there now, or out of this list, if we want to remove the transportation infrastructure. I don't know if we want to consider that, I know I think we put money in there last couple of years, there's about $90,000 in there, I think. Now that the state has come back and said, we're not looking for a match. Be one less thing for the taxpayers to.
Yeah, that's probably about the only one,
Deal
right?
with.
Because you want to keep the other capital reserves going there. We're going to end up, it's going to cost us more money in the long run down the road.
I think some of these, we're going to have to take a hard look at after we know what the CBA is going to be.
Correct.
If the CBA is
Yep, that's a good point.
knocking everything off kilter, then
Yep.
we may be nixing a bunch of things on
Right.
this.
We might need to skip a couple
That's right.
deposits.
Yeah, I think Jay, I think that is one that we can definitely take a look at. See if,
But I know everyone's favorite, the reevaluation capital reserve. That's putting money aside for something we're gonna have to do, even though it failed last year.
yeah, and that's what 2 years from now we're doing. So it's almost like you spread it out, or you're going to get hit all at once because that's something that we have to do. We don't have a choice for that. That's by law.
And there's no secrets in this room or outside of this room. It's going to be a tough year to ask people for much of anything,
Oh, I agreed.
Yep.
Definitely agreed. And then, all right. Anything else, guys, or we'll table till the 18th?
Nope. I don't have anything.
when do you think you'll be wrapped up with the CBA?
I think tomorrow's the first day.
You might get a good idea tomorrow. Well, put it this way. If it drags, it's not going to make the ballot, right?
We've got a meeting scheduled tomorrow and then the following Tuesday. So I
Okay.
would imagine
By
between
the next
those.
meeting, we'll have a pretty good idea.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah, a quick negotiations is the goal, given the time
Right.
we're looking at.
Okay.
All right, and as we've been doing the last few weeks, the next one, the budget, just to kind of review it, see if anybody's looked at something, seen anything. I know we had an email today around the election machines.
Yes, I know part of the discussion has been the $12,000 that's been set aside. We had an email today from the moderator who says that the Secretary of State's office, the two vendors are supposed to issue plans before the Secretary of State, so they're not making a decision on those plans until December 14th at this point, so.
I have never seen with down to two vendors, any organization, state or anything else, take so long and drag their butts so long to try to figure out which one's going to be the count. It's just not even conscionable what they're doing.
Well, and I believe that you can, of the two vendors, they're the approved vendors. So they're, it's only two options. You can go with A or B, but they still the vendors have to meet the Secretary of State's requirements, and for some reason,
They have a whole testing requirement they have to submit to, and that's what's,
And if they haven't done that in 2 years, there's something seriously wrong at our State House.
Well, I know last year, I think there were some towns that vetted or used the new machines to, I think Derry used them
Uh-huh.
for their election. So I feel like there's towns that have piloted it, the different ones, so.
I mean, if it doesn't come out until December, what's going on, doesn't leave us a hell of a lot of time.
no, it doesn't, because we've got it budgeted for this year, so you'd like to do it, so then we can take it out of the budget for next year.
Exactly. And get the machines here in time after that for an election.
Well, I would think you're not gonna have them for the primary, right? That's January.
Yeah. We would continue, and we would still have ours in service, right? I think
Correct.
it's the end of '24 when they support our maintenance is.
Right.
I mean, whether there would be a chance for the town election in March, maybe,
No.
I don't know, that would be the close one.
Yeah.
I think that January, there's no way that's happening for the
No.
primary. But I'd like to just see the decision made, so it's done and over with, and we can use it this year, and we take that off the budget for
I
next
get
year.
it. Yep.
in a perfect world, which we know we're far from that, is if hopefully everything goes well on the 14th, they're able to make their decision that these have approved it. I know the moderator does have a recommendation of one of those two specifically, but also, New Hampshire law requires the governing body of each town or city to vote to adopt a new electronic ballot counting device in a properly noticed public meeting. So, I mean, when we post the agenda in the meeting for probably the 18th, we will include that just
Okay.
in case everything happens on the 14th, that we can approve it on the 18th and sign a contract before the 31st, to commit the money that's already been appropriated.
And we should invite Bob Hobb here as well, right? So he can present it to us.
Good idea. Good idea.
That's the plan right now.
Okay. In the perfect world.
Yes.
Okay.
We don't need it to be exactly perfect.
Plast as close as you get to that.
Okay, so that could be possibly one item that we could take off.
Yeah, and another item is obviously with the approval of the two police cruisers, there is money in one of the budgets for the leasing of a vehicle for a department. So we'll, before the 4th or the 18th, evaluate those needs and probably reduce that money as well, depending on the condition of the vehicles.
Right, so what we do is we would take those cruisers coming out of service and repurpose them in town.
Correct.
Instead of having to lease something new, we just repurpose.
Yes.
I've noticed the gas prices have inched down slightly under $3.
Yeah.
Is it any benefit to the town that we might be able to reduce some of that money in the budget, or it's not worth?
I don't think it's worth it at this point.
Well, it happens every winter, right? The price of gas comes down because it's a different blend.
All it takes is a refinery to go down. And then it's,
The short-term savings is
Not worth it.
probably not worth it. Unless we knew that, something, gas was struck, out here or whatever, and we can tap into it for 50 cents a gallon.
all our
Like
problems
the
would be
good old
over.
days, back to the 70s?
Right.
And did anyone see anything else they had thought of? I know I keep going through it and looking and looking.
I mean, you go through hoping that something is going to jump out at you that's going to make,
Yeah, you're gonna see a big dollar amount, but
Right.
it's just,
but I just don't see it. It's the school.
I mean, I had the cover sheet on the budget that I had printed and left downstairs, of course, but where the budget stands right now versus the prior year for all departments, we are looking at a 10.762% increase. If I take out the the gross ambulance costs, we're looking at a 4.7% increase in the budget. That's where we settled at right now.
And that's a fair way to do that. You know,
I feel that it is because we're trying to compare apples.
Exactly.
And that is. Now,
and there's income bearing when that ambulance goes into service. So
correct. And this is the gross appropriations. This is not the effect on the tax rate itself.
exactly.
Which is different because we have revenues to help offset this increase.
Yeah.
Yeah, tough year everywhere. No way around it. Anything else? You see anything anywhere?
No, just note the fact that that increase was gonna happen, whether or not we took ambulatory on ourselves.
Right, and actually,
Trinity's contract was going to change.
it would have been right, it was gonna go up. And doing it the way we're going, it's actually less than if we went with one of the 2 RFPs we got back in. Because the ambulance, it was $0 at that time, it was the last year. That was no longer available. They pulled that, and it was gonna be a fee this year.
No, that's what started this. It's not a zero-based contract. It's nothing that we could have prevented. It's Trinity saying, we're not going to give it to you for nothing anymore. They were going to require the payment, based on the needs and the like, and we were looking at spending significant dollars one way or the other.
Yeah, and it wasn't like we just didn't sign the contract. There was no contract to
There
sign.
was no contract.
It wasn't going any, the old one was gone.
That is correct.
And we were fortunate, I guess we're in a position where we have that new ambulance coming in at the right time. That we're able to do it. I know other towns right now that I've talked to, some of the area ones, they're scrambling, trying to figure out what they want to do, and it's like over a year to get a new ambulance in. So see what they end up doing.
Well, and thank God we have a CIP program because that ambulance was on there to be replaced and it just so happened to be
Right.
this year. So we've been putting money away using these warrant articles to help fund this stuff. So
No, and that's the big,
it's been a key thing to help level the tax burden in some of those cases.
it shows why the CIP is well worth it.
Yep.
All right, what do we got? We approved I can wait for Daryl to come back for that. You can just approve the consent agenda. Let me find it here. On the consent agenda that we had going around, just a couple items on there. There was the accounts payable manifest for the week of November 22nd and 30th for 2023. The BOS draft minutes of November 13th, 2023. And there was one veterans tax credit application. Just get a motion to approve that.
Make a motion.
A second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So that's 300. And Greg, town manager's report.
All right. With the short week last week, we did get final approval from the state on the septic and leach field design. So we'll have passed the plans out to potential vendors. We'll be doing a formal RFP this week. With regards to public comment and the like, I did speak to the police chief earlier today. We did have 2 conditional offers out to 2 potential hires last week. Those have been signed, and we are going to both a certified officer and a new person that will need to go to the academy. But hopefully they will start the academy in February. But we at least have 2 signed conditional offers on filling those 5 vacancies, which is good.
When would they be coming on board, do you know?
I'm not sure.
And when are the ones that are in the academy get finishing up?
One just graduated, so he's back, I believe, doing his field training.
Oh, excellent.
Would that be one of the 5 filled?
I do not believe so, no.
Okay, so it's an addition. All right.
In your folders, as well, as I mentioned previously, that Mr. DeRoche and I, we met with the state DOT on November 9th. They've given what they're calling a conference report, looking for input from the town. Basically, it just summarizes, a lot of what we had covered, previously at another meeting, when I had brought this up, but improvements that are being discussed, a center median along Westville Road to kind of cut down on that, along with relocating, pavement edges and things of the intersection. They're proposing an option of a four-way stop there, and then also an option of a roundabout there. So it's all things that they are, considering, but it is here. They've asked for any input that the town may have by December 1st before they kind of finalize
I
this.
think a roundabout there could be tough in that spot.
I think
don't know
so.
how you could-
And
It'd be
I
tough
think
to do
so.
a roundabout with bicycles there.
Fit a merry-go-round.
I mean, what?
they're not going to do anything until the 2026, according to this.
No, that's not the case.
Okay.
The intent of the meeting is to identify short-term safety improvements that can be implemented prior to the Plastow project, which is currently scheduled to begin in 2026.
Okay.
So they're talking that we could do them sooner than 2026.
Oh, all right, great.
To address them now. They even mentioned like the four-way stop idea, that it could be a short term now to kind of test it in anticipation of the project in 2026.
If they did the four-way stop, would like a light or anything kind of be up in the middle of it?
Yeah.
Because you know how it's gonna be. Everyone's so used to just going there without stopping that maybe like a flashing light.
They spoke about putting blinking lights, and yeah, they would need a lot of signage, and
Boy, it would.
You'd have to choke that area down maybe a little bit
Yeah.
too.
I think it would be a combination of a stop sign and some of the others. They're talking with the median, a center island median with a crosswalk. The cross is there from where the store is towards Pollard
So are
School,
they talking the median on Westville?
Westville.
And what
Right,
that,
because you come around that corner, because I've on that quite a bit. People cut that corner.
oh, yeah.
And it's almost like if you're coming this way, you cut and it's,
And a like a 6-foot wide median
Yep.
would slow people down and prevent them from cutting that corner.
so for short term, how
It
quick
would
are they
also-
looking to do it?
Would also narrow that lane too, because right now, when you
Wide,
pull
yeah.
out to 121A, people can queue up on taking a left and taking a right, and it blocks people's views. So they'd probably look at narrowing that to one lane,
Right.
and that would choke it down.
And that would
too.
make sense, right? Because I know if you got someone in an SUV and you pull up alongside of them,
Yeah.
you can't see past that SUV if
Right.
you're in a car.
And as far as the work being done, it probably wouldn't be until the spring.
At
Because,
this point, I get it, but
Right.
but if you know the spring, that's better than 2026.
Right.
yeah, it is.
I'm hoping the spring. That's really based on our meeting and the information that we got from them. I'm hoping that we can make some changes to that intersection this spring.
Well, they seem to be very responsive to this, and after seeing what they saw, I'm surprised we got this that quickly too. So,
Well,
That's good, they're-
a fatality sometimes will push things along.
well, yeah, but I'm glad they're moving
Yes.
pretty quickly with this.
Yeah.
They have so
Absolutely.
far, and I hope it continues.
So we're looking for input from the public.
Or I would say, selectmen at this point, because they asked for a very quick turnaround on any additional input. So mean, certainly
I
if
just
the
don't
pol-
see
if the-
like how you could have a roundabout in there.
I think that's the one option you can't do.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
It
That's
is
a good
not,
spot.
that's not even close to working there.
If the public does want to weigh in on it, they can call my office or email, off of the website. It certainly would take any, input at this point. It's
And
just,
I think the medium is the best
I do too.
short-term answer.
Good Band-Aid
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
be able to monitor it and see what it does to slow it.
Exactly.
But it's just one of those things, whatever, if we say just go with the median, is it a one-shot deal? You know what I'm saying? You know, if we think it's a combination of everything and have them do it once, because if they just come in and do the median and say, look, that's all you guys said you wanted, we're not doing anything else.
Well, I think if the medium, if they were talking a four-way stop,
Yep,
medium, and if there's lights,
I think that's the short term. I like the idea of a light being there so everyone understands what you have there.
yeah. Short term for us may be very long term,
True,
you know?
but something has to be done there.
Yeah, I mean, we've all, I know for me, for the last 60 years, it's been the same way there and it's been the same way up at North Ave.
Yeah.
You know,
Just as George was saying tonight. I mean,
Yeah.
That's the cross through, and
That's right.
Westville is the feeder. If that all that gets bottlenecked, maybe some traffic will be diverted and convert.
That's what we hope.
Band-aid
Yep.
into a much larger.
Right.
fence.
like our roundabout out front here, hopefully that slows everything up, makes it more advantageous for everybody, the truckers and everybody else, to be out on 125 than try to fight down here.
Yeah, and if you have little stops everywhere, it's gonna slow the traffic down too.
Right. Right.
Anything else on that one?
Nothing else on that one. The
You
only
have
other
what you wanted from us?
The only other thing that I do want to bring up is we've talked about the Partridge hookups and the Twin
Ridge.
Twin Ridge, thank you. Tuesday, tomorrow, Pennachuck is going to be performing the upgrades to the water main at the intersection of Route 125 and Walton Road. Those that have been will be affected in that area. It's going to require a shutdown of the water main between the hours of 10 p.m. on Tuesday evening until 5 a.m. on Wednesday morning. So I just wanted to bring it up that we've posted notices on the businesses and the like that are affected in that area. It's only that area from where Walton Road is up to Old County Road. So there's a couple of businesses. The YMCA will be affected. The Nest Restaurant, the car dealership, and I believe there's one or two homes on Old County Road that are affected. So I just,
Everyone being affected's been notified?
yes. So, but I wanted to bring it up as well. There will be some overnight construction as well in that area while they get this done. Because they're going to have to shut off the water completely up to Twin Ridge while they do this as well. So they're not Plastow customers. They're Pennachuck water customers. They've notified all of their customers about this shutdown. So,
Okay.
but it's going to be busy in that area tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. Other than that,
That's it?
I turn it back over.
Wow.
I'd say that's good progress on the water line, though. We're
Yeah.
gonna,
Yeah.
that's one step closer to more
Yep.
hookups.
Yes,
That's good.
it is very good.
All right. Selectmen's reports. Seeing as, welcome back, Daryl.
Thank you.
And
And I haven't got to go anywhere, so
what have you been doing?
dubbing off.
Jay?
Let's see, at CIP last week, we talked about highway. The rest of the report is still in progress, so hopefully we'll have more of that on the 14th. I do have a budget meeting tomorrow night. I think we're going to be covering the cultural budget and the water department budget. I don't think, other than that, not much more. I think that's it.
Thank you.
Welcome.
John?
Well, Old Home Day Committee did not have a meeting. We didn't have a quorum to get together. So I didn't attend that, obviously. But I did meet up with Matt Kennedy. Jay and I went up to Waldron Renewables over the weekend
Oh, yes.
to walk the solar.
Were you
which was,
there?
Yeah, I was there. was a busy couple weeks.
You were letting. You were attending too.
I was giving John all the.
You were giving John the
accolades.
thunder.
Oh,
huh?
anyway, on that one, yeah. So it was a really great walk. It gave us a lot of insight and a bunch of different materials being used and how they used it, how the framework went to set everything up, whether it was a floating or physical. So it was great information. Matt Kennedy was. I usually have a commanding voice. I'm not used to having to speak into a mic. But Matt Kennedy was there and from Walden Renewables, and he did a great job presenting everything.
Great.
Very informative. We also, I know Jay was there as well at the Festival of Trees, which isn't, truly a government town thing, but a wonderful event that's held every year and generates a lot of money for locals here in the town. So that went off great this weekend. So.
Yeah, I showed up at the Festival of Trees Friday. They had a decent crowd there Friday. And I know that's usually the lesser of the days.
So we were bopping in and out as Selectmen and Lions and other titles. So
That's always a good event.
it's a great event. So I think that covers me.
All right. I also attended the CIP with Jay. There was a planning board meeting. The next one will be like next week. Also, like we just mentioned, attended the Festival of Trees, and that was really about it with the holiday. Ate a lot of turkey, I guess. Some upcoming events that we have. There's wreath making November 28th at the Pollard School at 5:30. Just register with the Recreation Department. There's the senior wreath making November 29th at the Vic Gary Center. The tree lighting out on the town green will be December 3rd at 5 o'clock, and I believe Santa should be showing up on the fire truck with that, as he does every year. There's the holiday trip to Newport, Rhode Island. I know they're going to see the breakers, and then they stop for lunch as well. That's on December 5th. Also register with Recreation. The letters to Santa can be dropped off at the gazebo from December 3rd to the 21st. So that look for the mailbox to be out there shortly. Recreation is also running Show Us Your Lights. Just email recreation@plastow.com to get on the list. And then the list will be available at Town Hall, the library, and the annex by December 13th. There's also another Trips with the Best of Times Travel. Merry Country Christmas, December 6th. Register by November 20th, which is kind of past with Recreation, but I'm sure you can still get on the list. And the one other thing where we were talking about the ambulance earlier, the fire chief is going to have one of his nights that he promised he was going to do. He's promised us to do one a month. It's going to be this Thursday at 6 o'clock. It'll actually be at the Plastow Fire Department. So anyone with any questions of why we chose to go this way and how it's going to work, that's best time to make sure you show up there and get your questions answered. He'll probably do a little bit of a presentation. I know there's a lot of questions around it. So with the 3 different times he has one a month, and with the video out there, hopefully that'll help answer everyone's questions. But once again, that's this Thursday, the 30th, at the Plastow Fire Department at 6 o'clock. And I think the one in December, you actually picked different nights. That's on a Friday night. I don't know if it's the 18th. I don't have the calendar in front of me. So, but the 2 after this one will be held at the library. I do know that. Is there any other business anyone has they wanted to bring up? Do we non-public, Greg? All right, looks like we have what I would call a quick meeting tonight. So we'll call the meeting at 6:50. Thank you and have a good week, everyone.